Hey guys. Oh my goodness. I'm like full moon hangover. What was it, a couple days ago? But there's a lot of energy rolling through the space. And what I'm feeling is like I wake up every day and it feels like I've hopped onto a different timeline every day. That's how potent the shifts are. I don't feel like we're literally hopping on a new timeline. I feel like we're shifting from one major phase of our life into another. And I feel like a lot of people who aren't either conscious of the spiritual path or already on it and just not able to move through certain things, they're probably feeling it a lot more than those who are willing to do the work, willing to sit with themselves, willing to feel all the feelings, feel all the trauma come up, and just be with themselves and love on themselves and be that unconditional love, that grace. And this morning I really felt like, wow, it's quiet. My kids aren't here this weekend. And so it was like the energy of like, I want to share what's coming through me. I want to share what I'm experiencing, which is kind of like how most of my videos are anyways. And I feel like a lot of people who are truly connected and called to share and called to be this light in like an obvious public way, like I am, they have that intuitive nudge and they just come on and then they express and be vulnerable and share about their personal experience. Why? All teachers who come to teach cannot teach anything that they haven't already experienced. So a lot of people are niched, meaning they're niched according to what they've personally experienced because they have that 3D hands in the clay, went through it, knowledge. It's like I saw this one post and it was like, I admire people who fail when they use that failure to grow and expand. And a lot of people who come to share their light, they go through what they go through and they overcome it, they persevere, they feel all the feels, they work through the trauma, they do the healing, and then they share about it and they're vulnerable about it. And I feel like because we live in this culture where wearing a mask is like what you get patted on the back for. Showing up in whatever environment and conforming is what you get patted on the back for. It's not coming in as your authentic self. Maybe expressing yourself in a way that ruffles people's feathers or doesn't completely align with their perspective, so they're not able to open up that line of acceptance and really be able to change. People like things to stay the same because it's comfortable. Change equals being uncomfortable because then you'd have to acknowledge something about yourself in order to make certain changes in your life to expand and grow as an individual. And so that is a hard thing in our culture to show up authentically, let alone share about vulnerable experiences that may or may not be judged by the outside. But the crazy thing is that you'll realize if you ever get in a position where you're like, well, for me, it's like I'm talking to hundreds of people, maybe thousands of people. And, you know, in everyday life, maybe it's just one or two people at work. Maybe it's just your family, whoever it is. Like this applies in so many areas. Anywhere where you're sharing a space with another living being, which is almost everywhere, right? Even if you have pets, like... it's easy to be vulnerable, authentic self in front of your pets, right? Because they don't talk. They're just unconditional, and I love that about them. That's probably a terrible example, but my point is that everywhere you go, you get to make the choice to be authentic. You get to choose who you want to show up as. And so what the universe was giving me in terms of my personal life was this message of grace. And I've been feeling it for like a while now, but I want to say really focused in on it over the last few months. And, you know, grace to me in a lot of ways has been significant because of the wound of not setting good boundaries. And that's like a wound I had to work through because I'm so sensitive, I'm so empathic, I'm so forgiving that I forget that I have to protect my own energy sometimes. So grace comes in where you are still that sensitive, loving, unconditional person. The difference is that you're unconditionally loving yourself simultaneously by setting healthy boundaries, but also not making somebody else like the problem or something negative. You're moving through it with grace. You're allowing people to be who they are and where they're at on their journey in an unconditional way, still expressing yourself from love, still expressing from your authentic space. Because you can be honest and you can deliver it in a loving way. You can set a boundary in a loving way. And like, that is so huge for me and what I've been going through on my journey, because you know, I went through the whole like twin flame thing, and it's really pushed me to love myself. And now that I've gotten to this space where I really, really respect myself, and it's like I don't even have high standards. I have these what's the word I'm looking for? I have these requirements in order to be with me, because I am a very like acquired taste, and every last one of you is an acquired taste if you're being your authentic self, which means that even like I said this in my most previous video, even if somebody has done the healing, that doesn't necessarily mean they're this great match for you. So it's interesting being single on this journey, because you're like, okay, so first I really, really got to get to know me, because if I don't know me, then I don't know what's good for me. I don't know what my needs really are. And a lot of times if you're an empath and you've been like in narcissistic dynamics and stuff, your needs don't even exist. Like, you're so busy trying to serve someone else's needs and make sure that they don't run away. Like if you've been with like avoidance and stuff like that, like your needs don't exist, because a lot of times for women, if you have any type of emotional need, that scares away somebody who isn't ready to sit with their own emotions. They're not ready to acknowledge their own needs. A lot of times it's interesting, because I've seen people on the twin flame journey go through the same dynamic I have, where their person becomes narcissistic in this weird way, but they're also a people pleaser. So they're also avoiding their own needs, but in the dynamic between you and the relationship, it seems like they're rejecting you, not showing up for you, but really they're rejecting you because they reject themselves. They don't show up for you because they don't show up for themselves. Like, they're literally sacrificing their lives a lot of times for other people. But it looks like it does look narcissistic if you're in a relationship with somebody like that, because they aren't even capable of meeting your needs, right? So I've been in these types of relationships majority of my life, like long years and years. Like, all my relationships have been years and years long. And so it's like I've learned these dynamics, and I've learned how I've sacrificed myself, and I'll slowly give away my power because I'm overly giving and not even recognizing that I have needs. Why? Because probably somewhere in childhood, our needs, especially emotional needs, were never met, were never acknowledged by people who also went through the same thing. Their needs weren't met or acknowledged. That's why moving with grace becomes more easier the more you can identify what your pain and trauma is, work through it, because you have more empathy for people. You recognize that, oh, wait, I was like giving my power away and sacrificing myself because I was with somebody who was giving their power away and sacrificing themselves. And if you look at it from a 3D perspective, you can get real victim-y with it. You can really turn into a victim and point the finger and this, that, and the third. But if you just like flip the script, stop putting your attention on something external and really focus on yourself, you'll recognize where it's you the whole time. You get to choose who, what, where, what job you have, who you engage with, whatever. You choose that every single moment you're making choices. Even if you're just like sending a message on the internet or like interacting quickly with somebody you don't even know, that's an energy exchange. Everything you do has intention behind it, whether you're consciously recognizing that or not. So like, we start to really learn this about life and ourself and the way we move through life. And in that recognition, our hearts become more unconditionally loving because we're starting to unconditionally love ourselves more. We stop blaming everybody for the way we feel. We stop blaming our job for the way we feel. We stop blaming our family, our parents, whatever the circumstances are. We stop blaming and we really go internally and take full accountability. Full accountability for our life. Full accountability for every moment, every decision, everything we do, and how we want to show up in this world. And so I want to read this because probably 3 weeks ago, maybe even a month ago, I came across this, and it was like a biblical interpretation of grace. And it really struck me. I mean, when I first heard it, did I hear it or did I read it? I don't even remember, but it ended up getting written down in my phone because that's what I do. I'll like text myself something if I have like a download or an epiphany or something comes to me that I know I need to share. And so I'm going to read that, and then I'm just going to just express how I feel about everything that's been happening around it. So here it goes. God's unearned and undeserved favor or benevolence. This is the definition of grace. A freely given gift of love and blessing, regardless of a person's action or worthiness. God is not something that can be earned through good deeds or merit. Or grace is not something that can be earned through good deeds or merit. It is a gift offered freely by God. It is God's benevolence. Grace reflects God's willingness to forgive, bless, and show kindness even to those who are unworthy. Grace is not a reward for good behavior, but rather a demonstration of God's love and mercy. And something that kind of struck me, because we do go into victim mode and we want to blame, we want to punish. Our culture, and especially the patriarchy, wants to punish. And like, I get it. Because I think about like really dark situations. I'm a mother. If somebody did something to my kid, my first instinct is to punish. That's what think about a bear and her cub. Like, mama bear's coming for you and you're getting punished if you come near her babies, right? It's that instinct. But like, that's like not even a good example because it's so instinctual. But it's my perspective on understanding why you would want to punish in some circumstances that are just horrific, because I know somebody in the comments is going to take it there. But with grace, it's more like 99% of the time it's not something like that. And even in those situations, you have to learn grace and forgiveness. But in everyday life, when we're dealing with people that are difficult, like our parents, like people that we're in relationships who we really love and we just want to work it out with, but it's like they can't get it together, and because they're in their darkness, it affects you because you're choosing to be a part of it. You're choosing to wait. You're choosing to be ride or die. You need to be ride or die for yourself. But in the same breath, you need to be unconditionally loving and understanding. So it's much easier when you get in a detached space and then and then like react from there. And even the word react has like negative connotations to it. It's more of a response, right? But if we're sitting in a space where we've honored our authentic self, we've removed ourselves from unhealthy situations, and we've really started coming through life and flowing through life from the space of love, it's much easier to move with grace. It's much easier to pause when there's something that triggers you and decide to not engage, or to wait to engage so you can come from a more conscious base. And that's just like, that is just the bread and butter of what's going on right now with all the trauma coming to the surface, because a lot of people around you, they don't have those kind of tools. They're not going to move in grace. They're going to play the blame game. They might even attack you. How are you going to move in grace then? How are you going to say, wow, that projection that you're putting onto me is not my responsibility? The only thing I'm responsible for is how I feel, and what I put out into the universe, what I choose to emanate out into the universe. So I can either allow somebody, give my power away and allow somebody to dictate how, and take me out of my power, take me out of my calm, take me out of my grounded presence in who I am. That's what it is when we lose our temper. That's what it is when we play the blame game or get all in victim mode. We're not in our grounded, centered space of authenticity where we know who we are. Because when you know who you are and you're standing in who you truly are, no one's going to be able to shake you. Because you're so deeply grounded into you as an aspect of source that it's not going to waver who you are as a person, what somebody else is going through, even if you're involved in the situation in some way. You always get to choose where you put your attention. You always get to choose the energy that you want to come from. And so now I kind of want to transition into what I'm going through now, which is like, it's very easy to just sit and then like put up all these boundaries and sit in your own space and just not deal with anything. The universe will give you stuff anyways, trust me, in other ways, shapes, and forms. You're going to get that lesson handed to you so you can have the opportunity to respond in whatever way. Also, life is full of contrast. It's how you ride those waves. It's how you get through it. It's how you respond. So yeah, going through opening myself up to getting to know people has been an interesting process. The most amazing thing is seeing how I've grown as a person and how I show up in life now, in contrast to prior to like leaving my last relationship 2 years ago and starting that whole journey in 2018. So that huge shift that happened in the summer of 2017, I think about, whoa, my whole life changed. Like I just dove into the spiritual journey, right? And then like I went through a lot of integration and I shared a lot along the way on my YouTube channel. And now I'm seeing this person that I'm becoming. I'm like, holy crap. Like that, it's like night and day. And I'm very proud of who I'm becoming and how I show up interacting with others. I isolated myself for a while and now like it's kind of like weird. It's that I feel like that person who was like married for 30 years and is trying to go back and date in a world that's freaking crazy, right? Just like so many normalized dysfunctions in the world. It's not easy being in your late 30s and trying to find a person to be in a relationship with. And I'm not really saying I'm trying to find somebody. I'm just open. Whereas before I was not open. I was kind of closed off and I still was giving my energy, not in very direct 3D ways, but in energetic ways to my past, other situations, things that just happen in life. And it was just too much anxiety and focus on that. And I finally figured out like, oh, just let it go. I found out how to move in grace in those situations. So it comes back full circle. Once you start moving with grace, it's like, it's not just with people. It's just with everything. It's with everything. Something doesn't work out, your lawnmower breaks down. Are you gonna get pissed and like the day is ruined? No, you could just handle it so much differently. And like grace looks so different moment to moment. But life is about that. It's so unconditional. It's like no matter what happens, nothing can shake me. I'm still going to be happy. I understand things happen in life. And I know I'm a solution-oriented person. I'm connected to my intuition. Those answers are going to come. And like that energy will subside. And it only exists because I acknowledge it to exist. If you look at two different people and you throw them the same situation, and maybe it's some type of challenge, one person breaks down and becomes a victim. The other one is like, oh shit, like, let's Let's do this. They're focused. Their energy's in the right place. They believe in themselves. They know who they are. They can calmly work through it, and they're zoned in, right? It's interesting, like a lot of like empaths and stuff, or like EMTs, where they're in the moment, and like when something traumatic is happening, they're zoned in. Like there is no breakdown. What are we going to do? We're all going to die. Like it's more of like, okay, let's go. Like I'm the calm, grounded one. Everyone around me is shaking because they don't know what the heck is going on. And I'm ready to be here. This is what I was made for. Unfortunately, a lot of empaths and light workers, fortunately but unfortunately, have gone through trauma. So they've learned how to work in pretty traumatic situations and remain calm because they've already experienced it. But whether you've gone through trauma or not, you're gonna have to learn how to be this grounded, authentic presence in life. And it's not just like traumatizing car accident situations, it's any situation. And you'll be called to where you need to be called to. I remember, if we're gonna use that for an example, like my mom worked in the ER for a long time. And one day she was driving down the road and she came across a car accident. This has happened to her multiple times, where somebody's in an accident, there's a traumatic situation, and she just happens to drive by. She pulls over, and she's part of the solution to whatever's going on. She is absolutely an empath. She runs a nonprofit for underprivileged kids. Like, my story and my parents' story is so crazy because she went through addiction and all this other stuff too, domestic abuse, but then comes back and turns that into light, right? And is like put in these situations by the universe to show her light. And that's for all of us. Like, you see it in your own life. You've seen like crazy situations. This is no coincidence. Nothing is a coincidence. So really, that's the message Spirit wanted to bring through today, was just moving in grace. Like really authentically knowing who you are, believing in yourself, not being swayed by the external, and being able to show up as the light worker that you are. You're watching my channel. I know that you are. You're 22 minutes into the video. I know that you are. It's crazy because nothing is a coincidence. You don't get called in a certain direction or to a certain message or anything coincidentally. And it's interesting because even if you're out there seeking something, you're seeking a certain message, you're seeking a certain tarot reading, you're reading the title like, ooh, I hope that's me because he's coming back, or ooh, I hope that's me because I'm going to get a lot of money, or whatever it is. And it's just like, even if it's your shadow talking, it's meant for you. Because if your shadow's asking for that, it says, I need another situation that's going to point me back to myself so I can get to know who I really am. Not something that I can just bypass and pretend I've already healed that. Because if it's still in the field, you're still going to see it. You're still going to be drawn to it. You're still going to have to go through the scenario. So you're able to be pointed back inside to heal it. Have grace with yourself. If you repeat a pattern, don't judge yourself. Love yourself. Be like, oh my gosh, like it's okay. We're going to get this next time. And that's just how I am. Like, I have to laugh things off. And sometimes, you can get really disappointed. You can get really disappointed because maybe, like, I don't know, maybe you're going through addiction and you just went like 2 months clean. And then you have a day where you slip up and you're really disappointed because it feels good to say you've been clean for 2 months, right? Feels good to say you've been clean for however amount of time. I'm just using that as an example, but be easy on yourself. And you can start over right now, today. Use this moment. It's your decision what you do in every single moment. You have the opportunity to be present and be intentional and to say, I know who I am and I want to come from that space. I want to come from this space that's connected with source, not ego. Just, I want to love me. I want to show up as the highest version. I'm patient. And sometimes I'll just sit and say those affirmations to myself. Like, I'm patient. You know what? I would love to have the most divine counterpart, and I would love it right now, but that's okay. Because if it's not ready right now, that's okay. I can wait. I'm patient. I can move with grace. I can get to know people and not try to force something if I know that's probably not it. Because let me tell you, if something's it, whether it's a career, whether it's a relationship, a friendship, or whatever it is, if it's it, you will know. There will be no, well, what about this and this? No, you will know with every fiber in your being. That's how you figure it out. People are like, how do you know this? How do you know this? Feel. That is the secret. If it feels good, that's it. If the person or whatever makes you feel anxious, it could be trauma inside you. That's okay. It could be that it's not the right fit, which is probably what it is. Or maybe they're just a platonic friend. Different people will come into your lives for different reasons. Like, it's really difficult for our culture to like separate friendship from relationship when it comes to the opposite sex or whatever. And that's just because of the roles that we've played for each other and the lack of healing. People are just immature in a lot of ways, and they are looking for something from another person instead of showing up to the situation to give good energy and have that reciprocation, you know? But it's hard because nobody that's doing that is conscious of it. Because if you're conscious of it, you'd be actively working on it, trust me. And a lot of people like, they know what they do, you know? Like, I heard people say that all the time. They know what they do. And I'm like, do they? Because if they did, why would they be doing it? If they fully knew what they did and they felt it, most people aren't even brave enough to feel. They're numbing out in so many different ways because they really knew they'd work on it. And they could be numbing out through a substance abuse, shopping, always on the go, workaholic, gymaholic, anything you use as a coping mechanism because you're sitting there and you feel like you're going crazy. You're like, I gotta go to the gym. I gotta go to the gym. It's not that the gym is bad. It's beautiful. It can freaking move that electricity through your body, really get you out of a funk. That's beautiful. But what was the funk about? Sit with that. Sit with that first, then go to the gym. You know what I mean? Like, but if you use it to numb, if you use substances and all that, you're running away from going inside. Like, if you're in a great mood and you go to the gym, that's not numbing. You're going to the gym, you're in a great mood. But if you're actively like, oh, I feel like shit, I gotta do something to change it. That is a coping mechanism. That is a way of numbing. I had to learn through all this, so many things. Food, you can use food, like all types of things. Movies, Netflix. I just canceled my Netflix. I was like, I barely even watch this anymore. I'm always doing my little hobbies, running my kids around. And then I was like, I really sat and was like, what is this content anyways? Like, most things on Netflix are either super violent, hypersexual, they have some type of propaganda or agenda. Like, and even if I find like a documentary or something, I'm like, damn, can I trust this? If it's on Netflix, it's probably a crack of shit. like I really think about the programming to that level. I'm thinking nothing real they would even allow to be this public. So all the real shit isn't going to be on here. But then I'm also like, oh, what about the subliminal messages? Like them saying what they're going to do, right? Who fucking cares? Focus on you. And that's what I started learning. Like, a lot of light workers go through like the conspiracy theory stage, which is fine. I still love me a good conspiracy theory. I still believe a lot of them are true. But don't get sucked into that, because then you lose focus on what is real, and that is your life right now that you're creating. You know what I'm saying? So focus on you. Focus on your own healing. Focus on your own expansion. Get to know yourself so well that the only things that are coming into your experience are the things that are in alignment with the highest version of you, because that's how you intentionally are expressing yourself on a daily basis. Every moment is with intention. Now, is that really hard to do 24/7 every second of the day? It takes practice. But once you get to know yourself, you're like, no, this is me. That's not me. This is me. Binge eating junk food isn't me. Me is waking up, having my shake, taking a few vitamins, whatever you do, whatever you do. A little sea moss in your tea. So what it all comes down to is that refinement, which I spoke about in the last video I made. And it's really like getting down to the nitty-gritty of what makes you feel good. What's good for you? What feels like it's on your path? And getting so in touch with your feelings, because that's the key, that you know what those things are. You're not confused by your own feelings because you're so half numbing, half distracted, half doing this, half doing that. Like, you don't even know what you want or what's real or how you feel because you're fucking off. You're not really focused. You're using, like, making excuses. You're arguing for your own limitations. We all do it. But get focused again. And be easy on yourself. And that's where the grace comes in. Because you will watch yourself shift into the most magnetic, beautiful being that really can make a huge impact in this world just by being you. There is no huge mission. But you will naturally come into that once you step into your most authentic version. A lot of people are still stuck in their egos and validation, and they're trying to figure it out. And they've made spiritual businesses, and maybe they've got millions of followers. They think they've done it all right, and they're still sitting there like, why doesn't this feel good yet? And it's just like, because you're forcing it. It came from ego. It didn't even come from spirit. Maybe you did do some great things, and maybe some of those things did come from spirit. But when it gets down to the nitty gritty, like, your ego will be exposed. And spirit is gonna help mold you into the most authentic version through the synchronicity, through the lessons. You didn't learn it this time, here's another person with the same lesson. Oh, you still are at the same old job that is really not healthy for you, really toxic environment? All right, well, we're going to throw some more issues at the job and see if you finally decide to leave, to be in a space every day that honors you, that respects you, that values you. Whew. So yeah, guys, I love you so much, and just move with grace, okay? We'll do it together. Have an amazing rest of your night.